Most people find history in school boring. Talking about things that happened centuries ago and is considered by most young people to be irrelevant. So how do you bring a bit of excitement to some historical and cultural figures? Add some celestial mystery, giant robots, fantastical sceneries, and some revealing costumes, and you get Nobunaga the Fool. Note, if you're a history expert or enthusiast, be prepared to have your beliefs thrown out the window. The world we're presented with is set around a binary planetary system divided into east and west by dragons. Already that sounds like an awesome prospect if dragons are involved. Specifically, it's the Dragon Pulse, a move from Pokemon controls the heavens? Huh. Of both worlds that ties them together, and as of late, the energies have become flustered and its disaster is set to befall both worlds. Enter Joan of Arc and Leonardo da Vinci to save the day by mounting an expedition to the eastern planet with a massive care package, a giant robot. It's just what I've always wanted! Already you're left confused as to why these two historical figures are not only alive, but working together, but that is explained away with that this world is set in a parallel universe, where things are the same, but different, if you get what I mean. It's a simple explanation, but it still confuses me. Once on the eastern planet, Joan finds Nobunaga, the boisterous and rebellious son of Nobuhide, who is the leader of their clan. War is imminent with their faction, and Nobunaga is destined to be at the center of it. He stumbles upon Joan and Da Vinci, is perfectly compatible with the giant robot, whom he christens the Fool, and thought by Joan to be the Savior King, the one to bring peace to both realms. That's the basic premise. And boy is it bonkers! The East and West planets are clear representations of our own planet's Eastern and Western divisions. The Eastern world is mostly Asian in setting and based around Japanese history, whereas the Western world is a mix of our own historical figures based around European time periods. That's where the realism ends and the madness begins. The East is seen as quite dark and set in a middle-aged period with the traditional and established ambience which is prevalent in Japanese culture. The West is pure insanity. The likes of Magellan, Caesar, King Arthur, Hannibal, the Borgias and Charlemagne are represented very tenuously, as the characters look nothing like their real-life inspirations. Da Vinci is quite close to his original in that he's an inventor and has an eccentric aura, and it's clearly meant to be the fan favourite as designated by the writers, as is pure enthusiasm and fun. Joan is a fighter like her real-life version, but is conveniently more feminine in appearance. But her divine persuasion is maintained at least. It's these little things that keep the show from trashing European history, by subtly weaving the personalities of these historical figures into the shells of these character models, which is a novel approach, albeit potentially stoking the fires of historians everywhere. Check your history brain out the door. You won't need it. But back to Nobunaga himself. He's the main character here, and the destined Savior King, as according to Joan. His personality is that of a rebel, and someone who wants to fight rather than sit around and act ceremonial, which is the destiny of his younger brother, whose coming-of-age ceremony Nobunaga chooses to bail on. For good reason, though. He finds out that opposing factions are revolting and heading their way. His ego needs tending to, and the arrival of Joan and Da Vinci gives him an outlet in which to wield his drive for battle. He takes to the idea like a duck to water and feels like he has found his calling at last, after years of playing the fool. He gets to play a fool in a giant robot! His character is meant to be a leader. He even has 2 loyal minions to aid him in his quest who are also his closest friends. He has his own posse, which is always good for helping break up the drama and having some time for comic relief or calm analysis. In all, Nobunaga the Fool is an interesting bag. Satellite, the makers of the show, have a strong pedigree in eccentric anime, having helmed the likes of Aquarion, Macro Zero, Escaflowne, and even Bodacious Space Pirates. This show subscribes to the formula completely, in the use of outlandish backdrops, props, characters, and things that generally please the eye and prevent boredom from encroaching. However, it's a little safe in the overarching story. Simply put, the story is about historical icon being granted legendary status for some ancient reason, and only he can do it, with giant robots thrown in because why not? It's basic, but the thing that keeps me interested is everything else in between. It's beautiful to look at, the character designs are elaborate and artistically handled, and you get lost in its beauty, just like with most creations helmed by Satellite, and the show's writer Shoji Kawamori. If you want something serious and to the point, you won't find it here. But maybe that's a good thing. Most people can do with some bonkers every once in a while, and Nobunaga the Fool succeeds in captivating whilst not being too heavy. Nobunaga the Fool is available to stream on Crunchyroll. My rating? Continue. Bonkers, beautiful, and definitely worth your consideration. If you like what you heard, please visit my Patreon campaign to help grow Anifile at patreon.com/MasakoX.